Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our 7 August 2025 session of Te Puna Kōrero. To begin, I will ask Taku to lead us in karakia. Beginning with apologies, I have an apology from Councillor Wehapi, and I'll note the leave of absence by Councillor Johnson. I'll move that. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Hayward, thank you very much. All those in favour, please say aye. Opposed, that is carried. Public forum, there are no requests to speak in public forum today, so I'll move through to conflicts of interest declarations. Are there any conflicts that anyone wishes to declare? There do not appear to be so. Notification of extraordinary business. There are no items of extraordinary business. Confirmation of minutes from our 24 July 2025 meeting. I'll move those and ask for a seconder. Seconded by Councillor Duncan. Are there any corrections to the minutes? No. In that case, I will put those. All in favour, please say aye. Opposed, that is carried. That moves us through to item 7.1, our major projects report. I'll move the report to open it for discussion. Seconded by Councillor Ford, and I'll invite council officers to speak to the report. Lynn, is there anything you want to introduce with this paper, or should we move straight into questions from councillors?
Thank you, Chair. Just to note that there's a comment there about some projects, that this will be the last major project report for, that some of the projects have been finished, and particularly the Waitangaroa Link Road project, which was finished during July. And then we're also looking at improving reporting through either the growth report or strategic priority reporting. Thank you.
Cool, thank you very much. So as usual, what I will do on this one is move through each of these items one at a time to give people the opportunity to ask any questions they might have. So the Eastern Porirua Enabling Infrastructure, Councillor Hayward.
Tamari, Mātua Upoko. Thank you, officers, for bringing the report. I wanted to check in regards to the infrastructure. Obviously, this also pertains to the land that Kāinga Ora also currently possess. Do we have any word from Kāinga Ora as to what is going to happen with the current status of that land, considering that they are now looking to divest themselves from any additional part of the large-scale projects that they had initially held? Are we just going to have land up there that's just going to be fallow?
We did get an update 4 to 6 weeks ago from Kāinga Ora staff. Be fair to say that they don't have a clear plan about all of that, except that they did commit to, and the government has committed to continuing what it has started. It is unclear, though, what will happen to any land that is not currently in their work programme. So they are working on that, was the word we got from Kāinga Ora staff. So unclear about the timeframe for that, but we will continue to remind them.
Sides up. Thank you for that, and also for the last point that you made as well, which I think is crucial. With regards to the regularity of discussions with Kāinga Ora, can you give me just a sense of how frequently we are hearing from them, as to get a sense of how recent the updates are?
Councillor, we're in regular contact, weekly with both Kāinga Ora and actually Te Ahuru Moai on developments. There's nothing that we can share with you, but we're making sure we're close to the action, so when does stuff happen, we can provide you with advice.
Okay, I got no more questions on this one. Thanks.
All right, we've got a few on this one. Next, I have Councillor Ford.
Okay, cool. Jeff kind of covered some of them, but how do we communicate to our communities so that we can remove any uncertainty that they might have around what's happening there?
I don't think we can. There is uncertainty about what's happening there. It is in the Kāinga Ora
so it's with Kāinga
responsibility. I don't know that we can be helpful in anything very much. Once we hear, we can, but until then, we're on the end of the messaging as well, so not, it's not that easy, I don't
Okay,
think.
so I guess
Yeah.
I think I just want to make sure that it's clear to our communities that it is Kāinga Ora that is driving that and not council.
Well, I think they are clear. There's been a team up there that's largely disappeared. There's still some staff there. I will remind the Kāinga Ora team that they do need to keep that communication up, but they have downsized significantly, so it is somewhat up in the
Resource
air.
driven, yeah. Cool, thank you.
Councillor Filo.
So with regarding the disestablishing of the large-scale projects, are officers aware of infrastructure that was planned to go ahead that isn't going to go ahead?
The large-scale projects haven't been disestablished. This one has not been disestablished. It's still in place. There have been a couple in Auckland that have been disestablished, if you like, but the program itself has not. So you'll recall that we had a first tranche of funding, which had the 3 significant infrastructure projects in it, and then there was supposed to be a second bid, would go through the budget, government budget process. That bid was deferred even before there was a change of government, and there's been no talk about it coming back on the table. So it's not impossible for that to happen, but councillors who were here at the time when the Eastern Porirua redevelopment was announced will recall that that was one of the concerns this council had, is that if there is a change of government, what happens to these programs, and they can get stopped in their paths. So we're fortunate that we got 3 very significant infrastructure projects out of that funding, but it's unknown what the next step would be, and seems unlikely in this environment that we would get quite that amount of funding out of government for a second round, for a second bid.
So just to clarify, in the report under risk, it says KO is in the process of disestablishing its large-scale projects, a significant disruption to the process in Eastern Porirua. So are you saying that that's around the second bid, or what's the context for that line in the report?
Lynn may have better knowledge of the words in the report. I just know that they have disestablished some in Auckland, and that the commitment here is firm as far as it goes. It's just that there is no commitment beyond what has already been, approved.
Through the chair. So that was, I guess that comment was at a stage when it was unknown, but we have subsequently verified that those current infrastructure projects are
Great.
staying.
Okay, cool.
Councillor Waddle.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick, easy one. Can we confirm that the Waitangarua Link Road will be resealed in the upcoming roading season?
Yes.
All right, moving on to Northern Growth Area. Any questions there? Yes, Councillor Duncan.
Yeah, just a small one. Is the Grey block named after Governor Grey, or is it after the Grey family? It's just we've spelled it G-R-E-Y, and I think it's probably supposed to be G-R-A-Y, yes? Is it? Yes, thank you.
All right, Central City wastewater storage tank. Oh, sorry, Councillor Filo.
Just a quick one regarding the year 2 of the LTP, the reservoir, the Plymouton Farm Reservoir, the 8 million funded by council. Is that likely to be part of the transfer through to the water entity?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
All right. Yes, so moving through to the Central City Wastewater Storage Tank. Mayor Baker.
Just a quick question. When's it due to actually open now? Will it be closer to summer? It's looking really good.
January
January.
26th.
Yeah, and I know it said that there, but we'd had an update previously at the Water Committee to say it was going to be October, so.
This year?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sticking to January.
Okay.
But again, as you know, Mayor Baker, with these things, we try not to be too. Yeah. But yeah, at this stage, on track for January next year.
Cool. Wastewater treatment plant, solids handling upgrade. Councillor Legas.
Just to ask whether how close we are for the contract to be awarded for the solids handling upgrade. Is it on track for August, it says?
It's imminent, Councillor.
Imminent.
Yep.
Thanks.
Councillor Filo.
Yeah, just to follow on from that, we were told that Wellington Water would be visiting us last month to talk about their plans about how they're going to be delivering value for money. So I'm just wondering where that is, given that they didn't come.
I did follow up on that, and we've got a note for you in the Friday update with respect to value for money and procurement at Wellington Water. Just so you know, it has been going to the Wellington Water Committee, and they have been reporting on it formally through the Wellington Water Committee. It just hasn't been well broadcast to the likes of ourselves.
Wastewater treatment plant, odour treatment. No. Councillor Ford.
Sorry, I just had a random question. Because this always comes back to us, how likely are we even to meet those consent conditions? Do we actually have a backup plan if we don't meet those conditions? I know it's a...
Do you mean with respect to the timeframes,
Yeah.
Councillor?
Timeframes, the odour.
Well, we're spending a lot of money on the effects on the environment for these conditions.
Yeah.
So my answer to you has to be yes. I think we will be. My advice to you is that we will be within the conditions in investing this money.
Okay then, I'll take it at face value.
Rukatane Point Pump Station. Councillor Duncan and then Hayward.
Yeah, thanks. We're told that further investigations were due in July. Are they ongoing, or do they have some sort of result there?
They're ongoing. You're aware that we've already replaced 2 of the pumps actually within the pump station. So what's happening on the site is actually it's performing very, very well. We've had no issue since we have done that. So we're going to give ourselves a little bit of space before we come back to you with further advice, because it may be that we have fixed the problem. But I don't want to kind of give you false hope, but we'll come back to you with more advice when we can be more certain about that. But it's looking good.
Councillor Hayward.
Kia ora no. Thank you for that response to my colleague's question, which kind of answers mine, but then it raises a new one. And that is, how will officers ascertain how best to report back to council in terms of the intermediate, well, I'm going to describe as an intermediate fix with the installation of those additional, that additional hardware, to provide that kind of guidance around an alternative solution, or to not necessarily proceed with the work that we had anticipated was going to be likely all the way back when the LTP was signed off with this amendment regarding this space. I want to get a sense of how long do you guys have to wait until you're in a position where you can actually answer that question.
I think later this year we'll be in a position to answer that question.
So,
unfortunately, as you're well aware, that kind of
dovetails with the election as well.
Yes.
So I understand that there's an expectation that officers will be working into their work plans, that there will be a report back to councillors post-election with regards to that analysis.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
All right, Spicer Landfill Cell 3A. Councillor Duncan.
Yeah, I just want to note that in the financials it says 5.2 million that's so far to be spent. Excludes any design work, construction work. It's purely for consents. And so when Chris Bishop's talking about council spending too much money, he needs to look at these sort of things, that the costs that are being imposed on us. Yeah.
Councillor Hayward.
Just regarding the end of that report and the risk around management of sediment for retention ponds, there has been a lot of chatter with regards to discharges into waterways near that location. I just want to be given some certainty as to whether or not that pertains, that the inclusion of this risk pertains to the construction of South 3A or some other related matter, or combination of both.
Combination of both. As I think you're probably aware, we have an ongoing existential risk around the existing landfill with respect to leachate. With respect to sediment, that is always going to be a risk with the construction of this nature. So it is both of those things, Councillor.
Cool. Spicer landfill resource consent. Councillor Hayward.
Just a comment. Obviously, I'm not happy about this one. And it is in spite of the diligent work that has been done by officers in regards to this, that we note that we have had conversations as councillors regarding the future use of this space. It does not, however, make me feel entirely content. We've got a meeting on next Tuesday, so that's correct, of the plant. With regards to the operations, it is still something that I'm very concerned about. Kia ora.
No further questions on that item. Aotea Lagoon South End. Councillor Leggett.
Great project, finished. Can I ask, is there going to be any ongoing work, and I guess it'll be operational, with regard to the drainage in that area, which doesn't seem to have been, that the issues around drainage have not been solved with this new addition. So there are still wet areas and boggy areas in there despite the drains. Is there going to be any more work done to get rid of that?
So the bulk of the CapEx is expended, Councillor. We'll continue to monitor once the things are actually launched, soft launch in October, I think we have. We'll continue to monitor. There is a 12-month defect liability period, so we'll make sure that anything that goes back to the contractor is on the contractor. But with respect to design, we'll monitor. I'm not sure. It might be a bit premature to give you a definitive answer to that question.
Yeah, okay. I mean, there are drainage issues there. I thought they would have been, those would have been addressed in original design. It may have been a construction issue, and just make sure that we do push that back on to contractors if indeed it's seen to be a contracting issue.
Councillor Duncan.
Yeah, just at the South End renewal, large wooden shelters being erected on the picnic pad. Was that budgeted or is that extra too?
I don't know. It's budgeted.
Was?
Sorry, they told us at the opening when we had the Rotary launch, they just hadn't been built in time.
Thanks, Mayor Baker.
Cheers.
Local water done well. Councillor Thelo.
So I'm just looking at the budget, and 560,000 has been budgeted up to September this year, just for Porirua, and so I'm taking that the other councils have spent something similar or maybe more. So this doesn't include the transition costs. Is that correct? As we move into past September.
Through the chair, that's correct. There are further costs to come.
Okay, so just wondering if you could clarify what that 560 generally was spent on.
The bulk of that would have been on looking at the water services delivery model and also the water services delivery plan. They've been the two key outcomes for the first stages.
Okay, so sort of consultant costs for those plans.
Correct.
Right.
All right. Anything further on local water done well? No. Curbside services. Councillor Hayward.
Thank you again for bringing this forward. I am just trying to read in here with regards to, there was something about a slight change in terms of the procurement process. I think if I may have got that right in here. And I'm trying to understand if that was a change since the LTP. Can officers just clarify that?
So there are a couple of moving parts here, Councillor, with respect to when this will drop. Not least being a couple of things that are changing in the market at the moment. One being the market for glass, which is looking more positive than it had been previously. The second thing I think I mentioned last time being the success of our 3 strikes program, which has actually meant that the vast majority of our recyclables is actually now recyclable under the existing model that we have. So we don't want to ignore that as we charge on through this change, and we want to kind of reflect on that before we come back to you with further advice around things like procurement.
Okay. Once up. Obviously, my concern is making sure that we maintain focus on the improvement, not just of the existing service provision, but the additional services as well. Officers indicating that there will be a change away from those additional services as part of this discussion.
Are you talking about organics?
Organics, also general waste.
So the short answer to your question is no, that there is not a move away from that. There is a strategic discussion to be had around the future of Spicer landfill, depending on the things that we just discussed in the other report, only potentially 5 years, right? So with respect to what we do around organics, is very much tied into what happens with our assets. So we haven't landed there yet, Councillor, but in the new triennium, we definitely intend to come back to you with a updated picture of that landscape and options for you.
Okay. Sorry, one more sub I forgot. Earlier this week, Wellington City Council held a workshop with regards to its current work on organics as part of diversion, and they are obviously getting a bit more jittery would be the probably way I would describe it in terms of their ability to deliver, and they are coming back to their council with additional options on that. Does that not have a flow-on effect to any work that we are doing here in Porirua?
Not in the immediate term, because we're not joined up with Wellington City Council on this, and actually Hutt's in this picture as well. So there's another moving part. Where we are close to Wellington City Council officers and are aware of what the developments are there. Of course, it makes sense for us to be doing this kind of stuff on a regional basis, which is part of the advice we intend to bring back to you as well.
Okay, thank you. No more questions.
I've just got a quick clarification on this one. I'm just looking at the corrective actions under risks and issues, and it talks about beginning public consultation at the same time as early scoping of the contract document. Just as a clarification, so we already consulted on this through the long-term plan period. The consultation this is referring to here, do we have to do a full second round of consultation on this project, or is this more about the specific implementation? What exactly still needs to be consulted on?
So this is more about the specific implementation, because the LDP did not meet the threshold for significance with respect to what we're about to do here with levels of service. So we have to go out again, most likely with a special consultative process. If you think about what this is, we're talking about bin sizes and bags and that kind of stuff. So it is quite transactional. I think it's quite important that we actually consult to that level of granularity.
Okay, cool. So people can have comfort that while this is the direction of travel, if individual residents are concerned about this being rolled out as a policy, there's still plenty of opportunity for them to engage and shape that. Cool. Thank you very much. Any final questions on this item, Councillor Hayward?
Sorry, apologies about this. The consultation period for the Solid Waste Minimisation Fund change has been proposed by the government, closed at the end of the start of last month. Have we had any word yet as to when central government is going to prepare a response to that consultation, knowing that that may have an impact on our ability to fund diversion projects or potentially some of the work that we are doing in the space around curbside?
I'm sorry, Council, I'll need to check the time frame for that. I don't have the answer at my fingertips, but I can come back.
Mayor Baker.
Probably a similar question. When you say consult, is that something we can, whoever's here next term, look at possibly reconsulting on? Because the numbers on that in the long-term plan are extremely high, and we're trying to bring rates down. Is that something that could be redone on the next long-term plan? Seeing we're talking about getting rid of water, we would do another long-term plan?
The short answer is yes. It is 5% rates increase that's in
That's
the
why
LTPs.
I'm asking.
So it's important with the change in dynamics that we do revisit
Thank you.
that, which we do through. And some councils, by the way, have actually, Upper Hutt decided not to do even curbside recycling for the same reason. And someone else, Whanganui, I think, has done something similar.
Yes, it's just regionally we should be doing it. So thank you together. Yep.
All right, harbour and catchments. Councillor Leggett.
Can you just clarify for me where it says MFE funding likely to see? It was a 5-year program. Didn't it start in 21? When does it actually, the funding from MFE, I mean, when does that actually finish? Is it the 2027, 26, 27 financial year?
Through the chair, I understand it's 30 June 26.
So it ceases 30
Last year.
June 26. Okay, thank you.
Taku.
Just a reminder on the accord that was signed, we would hope that the work would be continuous, and there continues to be a commitment by council moving forward.
Mayor Baker.
And I just want to say the new reporting that we've got on the website is awesome. So thank you for that.
Yeah. No other questions, comments on harbour and catchment? No. Climate change program. Councillor Leggett.
The new boiler at Pātaka, is it complete? Was due for completion, is it not?
Through the chair, correct, it's due for completion mid-August, so it's on track.
So, great.
Councillor Hayward.
Porirua Assembly on climate, I note that we are rapidly approaching the end of August when our council is going to receive guidance with regards to the outcomes of the climate assembly. I'm just following on again from an email sent some time ago about where we were, what the assembly has prepared for us to consider.
Through the chair, I can answer that one. Thank you, Councillor Hayward. We are working with the Climate Assembly staff at the moment and just working out a date that they can come to council to bring their recommendations to council and discuss them with you. So we're just working on timing, and hopefully they will be here in August, which is this month.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I believe that brings us to the end of those items within this report. Any final questions, comments on this paper, Councillor Hayward and then Duncan?
I want to go to the procurement and broader outcomes report that is in the attachment. Again, thank you very much to officers for the preparation of this report and the refinements to it as we try to gain a better insight into the social procurement. So, first of all, is it possible that in future reports that we can actually have, as part of its breakdown, those organisations that have either received or have applied that are currently living wage accredited employers? I would like to see that information included. Is that possible?
Through the chair, yes, we can.
Okay. Secondly, with regards to environmental sustainability, I'm trying to gain some understanding of how this is assessed, especially when it comes to built environments, buildings, park improvements and such that council undertakes that would require an external party.
Through the chair. So when we're looking at environmental sustainability through broader outcomes, a lot of the time we might be looking at whether the supplier has got an accredited emissions reduction plan. Depending on the specific project, we would also look at any other environmental sustainability factors. So, for instance, when we've demolished a building, we've looked at the amount of materials that can be recycled. So it depends on project by project.
So, thank you for that. That's useful examples. In terms of construction of built park improvements, built environment and such, do we consult or do we seek guidance from potential tenderers around Green Star certification of their work?
Through the chair, I'm not aware that we do. something I can follow up and we can work with our climate team on.
Okay. The last bit is just in terms of the scoring system. Can we just, perhaps it may be important to have in future reports, but to have clarity around the articulation of the 1, 2, 3 system. I accept the fact that this is a call that's made by officers in their deliberations, but can we just get a sense of how that graduation system of 1, 2, 3 is consistently managed and assessed in its assessment?
Through the chair, you're looking at paragraph 11.
I'm looking at the table in regards to, let's go to point 11 and the broader outcomes addressed. So this is with regards to obviously direct appointments and competitive tenders as a comparison, and that there are outcome numbers that are put next door to it. I'm assuming that those are assessment numbers that have been they've been developed by the group who is responsible for this work. I'm trying to get a sense of how is this actually ascertained by staff, knowing that there will be line calls all the time. But what do you guide that determination between what's a 1, what's a 2, and what's a 3?
So these are not the assessment numbers. These are the number of procurements that have considered those factors in the evaluation. So for competitive tenders, we would have a number of evaluation criteria, things that we're focusing on for that particular procurement. And that's where we have looked at the number of procurements. For direct appointments, there's no evaluation criteria, but we may be provided with information about whether they're a local supplier or other factors that we have considered there.
I've understood the latter point from you've explained it in the previous report when we've asked that question. It may be useful for future reports to just give more clarity around the description of that part of the report, so there's no doubt for someone who reads this from a lay perspective. I'm just going to check my questions just to be sure I haven't missed anything. Nope, that's it. Kia ora.
Councillor Duncan.
Yeah, look, I'm in the item 2 there, the table, I was a bit confused. I may be reading this wrong. But in the second one, total value of competitive tenders, for the 6 months, it was 23 million, but for the 12 months, it was only 9 million. Those numbers don't work for me.
Through the chair, it will depend on the mix of tenders that are out to market. If it is a multi-year tender for a service contract, it could be a larger value than a short-term construction project. So it will depend on the mix of tenders in that period.
But if from July to December we've got 23 million, then January to December would surely be a lot more than 23, wouldn't it?
Again, it will depend on the mix of tenders.
Really?
Yeah. I think they're different years, councillor. So Jan to June 25 is the first one.
No, they're both.
Next two.
They're both 24. I'm not going to die in the ditch over it, but it doesn't work for me. Note.
No, there's something.
I think we've got the dates wrong, but we'll come back.
It's probably the opposite.
Okay. And note 2 in that table at the bottom of it, I can't find where it refers to anything. Certainly 1, 3 and 4, the notes underneath, but note 2 didn't seem to tie into anything.
Through the chair, apologies, that note has fallen off. So the second line item in the table, total value of competitive tenders, there should be a note 2 there which says that they all go through GETS.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Councillor Filo.
Thank you, Lynn, for adding in the local businesses, that breakdown of, Wellington region and other. I think that was mentioned in the last, so thank you for adding that in. I've got a couple of questions. The first one is under note 3, for the direct appointments, just wondering why the seismic work was urgent, was at the arena.
Through the chair, it was identified that there was some work needed to be done, and because we were going through the arena shutdown, it was timely to get that work done at the same time, and so we didn't have a very long time to get the supplier on board.
So you identified kind of an efficiency, sort of a last minute efficiency, and then just went and got the preferred suppliers.
Correct.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. My next question is, it's over on the next page, point 4. So what I would like to know is what is the process for contracts under 100K? What are the kind of criteria that need to be met for tenders that are under $100,000?
Through the chair. So in our procurement policy, it states that under 100,000, the expectation is that there will be multiple quotes, generally 2 or 3 quotes. There can be an exception to the policy where you can direct appoint, but that would have to be justified. And for...
Sorry, what was that last thing you said?
Sorry, I didn't correct. So you can have an exception to the policy where you can direct appoint a supplier. That has to be justified. It has to be documented, the reason for the direct appointment.
What are some kind of justifications? Examples?
Right. It may be if there's only one supplier who can do a specific piece of work. It may be if there's emergency works. So there's a number of reasons under the policy.
Okay. Thanks, Lynn. Also, what generally, I'm just looking for a ballpark figure here, but what would be the total tenders across council for contracts under 100K? And like in a year?
Yeah, sorry, I don't have that information. I can come back to you with that.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Leggett.
I think it was answered. The question was asked by Councillor Philo in a way. I just wondered what the seismic work was exactly. The urgent seismic work.
My understanding was it was, I don't know the technical terms, the large pipes above the pool that needed to be restrained. Yeah.
So through the chair, the aircon units sitting in the aquatic centre have got some very small straps that were tying to the roof, and one of our staff actually saw that in the walkthrough, so we checked it out.
All right, I think that is the end of all the questions and comments that we have. So in that case, noting that all we're doing here is receiving this report, I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? It is carried. It moves us through to item 7.2, the June 2025 Quarterly Growth Report. I'll move the report to open it for discussion, seconded by Councillor Hayward. I'll note to councillors that Kieran Brown, as the author of this report, is currently away, so there may be some specific questions that aren't able to be answered today. Officers will come back on any questions that can't be answered today. I believe we're going straight into questions for this one, no officer introduction, so any questions or comments from councillors? Councillor Duncan.
Yeah, there was just one I had. I was looking at the graph on page 43 for housing market. And it shows there that house values dropped 50%. That just seemed... I mean, is it some sort of comparison with rents that it's dropping rather than... I couldn't understand the graph. If that could be clarified for me, I'd appreciate that.
Nick, is Mia here?
No, so I'm afraid, through the chair, we are quite a few staff down, but I will come back to you, Councillor Duncan, with the answer to that question. I don't want to have a crack at it.
Oh, thank you. Councillor Leggett.
Thanks. This is a great report. It's a whole lot of stuff put together that gets reported elsewhere as well, which confused me slightly. But I just make that as a comment. Specifically, in there was some stuff on building consent figures and new dwelling consents, which seemed to be at odds with the last report, the quarterly regulatory report. So there are just some discrepancies in there about, what the percentage figures were. I guess that's a technical issue and maybe it'll be corrected as we go forwards.
That's correct, and it's a timing issue.
Okay.
So we will take that feedback on board, Councillor Leggett, and try to articulate that more clearly and highlight where the time can make the numbers look a bit inconsistent.
Yeah, well, they were hugely inconsistent, I would have thought. Yeah, okay. Thank you. But,
All right, no further questions or comments on this report. Okay, in that case, noting we're just receiving it, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Opposed, that is carried. Item 7.3, I'll move it to put it on the table, seconded by Councillor Duncan. Same for this report as the previous one. Kieran and Mia are both away, so we may have to come back with any answers for questions. I'll open straight away questions or comments from councillors. Councillor Hayward.
Kia ora no matu upoko. Could it be requested of officers with regards to the August 28 briefing by officers around dog control? And it's a workshop, as I understand it, that our officers be empowered to come forward with suggestions or recommendations around how to deal with the, at present, still relatively high number of call-outs for aggressive dogs and barking dogs. The data seems to show that we are not necessarily making meaningful progress on that front. And I'd like to have a conversation in those terms about what we can do in that space.
Through the chair, yes, we can do that. I just want to note that it's not coming through workshop, it's coming to the meeting proper. So we will spend some time on that question prior to coming to the meeting.
Okay,
Happy to discuss at the meeting.
No more questions.
Councillor Duncan.
Yeah, thanks. My one just relates to page 67, 20 working day target. And it says it's been calculated manually until resource consent module and datascape is finalised. Is that a real problem or is that easy fix?
So through the chair, I might ask Derek Cariti to come and answer that question, who's the manager of the Resource Consents and Monitoring Program.
Through you, Chair. Thanks for the question. So just relating to the Resource Consents Datascape program, so we have had a fix in terms of being able to report through our MFE reporting, so that's all being locked and loaded and ready, currently being used through our staff.
Mayor Baker.
Just when you come back, Nick, can you give us an update on the number of unregistered dogs? Because there are people out there who are really struggling to pay their fees, and I've had a number of them trying to set up alternative payments. So I just wondered how that is at the end of the month.
Yes, we will do that.
Councillor Filo.
Hey, thank you. Looking at the parking and in particular the infringements, it says here on page 73 that 49% of parking infringements issued were referred to the courts, and that came to a value of 610,000. So my question is, do you have a figure on what the total amount of parking infringements issued is for that time period?
Yes, we do. Can I just ask Joanne, who's the manager of that team, whether you know that answer off the top of your head, Joanne? We'll have to come back to you with the specific number, but we do have it.
Okay, because it seems like it would obviously be more than 610,000, and the total revenue collected for our parking is, it said in the report, 720,000. So it would be good to know how much more the infringement revenue is versus the actual car parking revenue.
Yep, we can bring that to you, Councillor Filo.
Thank you.
No further questions on that item. Cool. In that case, I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Opposed? That is carried. That brings us through to item 7.4, making the proposed district plan partially operative. I will move that to put it on the table, seconded by Mayor Baker, and I will invite council officers to speak to the report.
Kia ora tātou, Helen Oram. As you know, I just want to say that this is quite a momentous occasion for the council. This is a culmination of work that started, I think, under Nick well before I was here, so I can't take any credit for it, unfortunately. But we got very few appeals, which is kind of a little bit unheard of, and I think that's testament to the work that council and the team did throughout the process, and almost all of those appeals have been mediated out. We only had one that went to a hearing, and we're waiting for the outcome of that, and one that went through mediation, which is still being discussed with the appellant. But from my point of view, just from experience of working in the district plan area, this is one of the smoothest processes I've ever seen in my career for getting district plan through like this. So I feel very proud of the work of the Porirua City Council officers, through time. But I don't know if there's anything you want us to particularly address or questions.
All right, I'm going to begin with Mayor Baker.
Thank you. I agree with you. This is great work. It's taken so many years, but Stuart, back in the old days, the whole team, everybody who's worked on them, including it is the old days. We've had a number of councillors change, and it's been awesome, the work from the staff, councillors' input and everything else. Do we have a time frame on when those last two will get ticked off? Because this is, I agree, such a momentous occasion.
Unfortunately, we're at the whim of an Environment Court judge, so
Okay.
We don't have a specific time frame. We have asked the registrar, but there's no pushing the judge, apparently.
Thank you.
Councillor Hayward.
Kia ora no. First of all, to reiterate the esteem of myself and others in terms of the midwiving of this piece of work over multiple staffers, years, councils and councillors. It is most appreciated. It will give certainty to people outside there. My question is about the area of uncertainty that was raised by this item, point 20, with regards to science. So I am still trying to ascertain, and I think people who are going to be outside this room are going to try to figure out, when installing a sign, how is this going to work if we pass this motion to maintain the science bylaw as well as the language in the PDP? Can we get some clarity around how this is going to work in practice? Because we should not be in the process of making this a far more arduous process for people in our community who want to put up a sign.
Through you, Chair, I'll answer that, Councillor Hayward. In short, the process will be less arduous if we keep the signs in the bylaw. With the changes that are happening through district plans, around plan changes, etc., we're not confident that actually it is a more simple path to keep it in the district plan, which is why we've opted to keep it as it is. Plus the timing's not helpful. We're right in the middle of a election period. Your signs are going up on Saturday. It's not helpful to have a change in settings right now. So for those reasons, we've opted to stick with the bylaw.
So the rationale behind the decision back in 2020 to go down this path and the ability for councils to have more agility in resolving these issues, do those issues still remain if we are to pass this motion as it is?
No. Not to the extent that we considered it back in, 4 years ago now? 5 years ago now.
Okay.
We need the flexibility, and I think the bylaw keeps that flexibility for us.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
Right. But I appreciate the response
Yeah.
you've given, and I understand that. So thank you. No more questions.
Good summary, Councillor Hayward.
Councillor Leggett.
Sorry, no question, but I'd just like to reiterate the compliments of others as well in terms of the work that's been done on this over the years. I think this is our new district plan is going to be great for the growth and development of Porirua into the future. Very clear, and if we want a city that's going to grow, then this is a really firm basis for it. So congratulations to everyone involved, including councillors.
Councillor Filo.
Okay, I just wanted to follow on from Councillor Hayward's commentary around point 20. So in the signs bylaw, it references the current operative district plan. So can officers give some commentary around will that still be the case? Or is the operative plan around signs different to the proposed district plan?
So my understanding of this, and I'm sorry I wasn't here when it had been discussed years ago, but so this will become essentially the new operative plan, even though it is kind of partially operative, but the signs part will be operative. So there won't be any confusion about which plan, because the other plan just falls away, essentially. So there won't be any confusion, and my understanding is that one of the reasons that we want to keep the signs in the bylaw is because we've got this issue of some sites for temporary signs, and we need to be able to have some flexibility to take them in and out, change where temporary signs can go as a landowner. So my understanding from talking to the enforcement team and so forth is that this is the clearest way to do it. And they haven't had any issues with doing it this way, which we've been trying to do for a couple of years in practice.
Sorry, Helen, you mentioned landowner for signs. Are you talking about private property?
No, I'm talking about council as landowner.
Oh, council as landowner,
Yeah.
okay.
So can I just add to that? Put simply, when we adjusted the sites to make them more equitable across the city, we were able to do that quite quickly through the bylaw. If it was embedded in the plan, in the district plan, we would have to go through a plan change. And right now the government has said no more plan changes unless they meet certain criteria, of which the sign sites wouldn't. And so that wasn't something that we forecast 4 or 5 years ago when we opted for putting it in the district plan. And so that's just a very simple operational reason as to why at the moment we don't feel confident that it will afford us the flexibility that we need.
Just further to that, what I did try to look up both plans and couldn't find them on the website. So it could have been my looking, but where would people find either of those plans?
They're both on the website. So if you go under district plan, they're right at the top of the page. The current operative plan and then the new ones directly underneath it. I can show you offline.
Yeah, I mean, I found it last week, but
when you go to the website, on the front page, it's got a button or whatever that says district plan, and you just go through that, and the first page you get to, it's got the district plan. You click through.
Cool. Thanks, Helen.
All right. I just want to take a moment, I guess, on this to congratulate our officers, past and present, actually, that have done the work on this. This is really incredible, and for a lot of us around the table, this district plan will be the most significant, longest lasting impact of our time on council, and I think it's worth reflecting on that. I'm incredibly proud of this work. I think even if we're looking at it from no perspective other than intensification and enabling more housing in Porirua long term, the legacy of that on the affordability and environmental sustainability of our city is going to be huge, and I think we can all be incredibly proud. So thank you very much to the officers. There doesn't appear to be any further questions or comments, so I am going to put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much. All right. That brings in public today. We do now need to move through into public excluded. Before I do that, I'll just make a note that we will have our karakia at the end of workshop today. I'll just mention that while we're still in public. So I will move a motion for us to go into public excluded, seconded by Councillor Hayward. Thank you very much. Questions, comments? No. All those in favour of that, please say aye. Opposed? That is carried. We'll now move into public excluded.